Welcome to Reading the Green. This is our golf and fantasy sports show. My name is Mike. Got Fancy Kyle and Jordan hot off the golf course. How you guys doing?
And coming in hot here. A little late. Sorry, guys.
Apology accepted.
Did you close the deal, Kyle?
Working on it. Not all the way there. Nah, but hit the drive out in the fairway. I just have to hit the approach shot left and hopefully make the putt.
No, that's easy for you.
Well, I was gonna say that's the might not be the strong part of his game. But you guys were there for me when I showed up late after Pitbull a couple of weeks ago. So we're here for you, Kyle, on Tuesday, July 18th, Major Championship Week, the last major championship of the PGA Tour season, the Open Championship. Plenty to talk about there. But I had a couple other things I wanted to get into first. And since, I introed a little differently, this is a fantasy sports show. Occasionally we talk about other fantasy sports, mostly golf betting, fantasy golf. But I can't believe I'm going to ask you this. And please keep it to like 5 minutes or less. What do we need to know about the upcoming NFL fantasy season? I know you guys have these like month-long drafts going on, but you haven't brought it up in a while. So where are we at?
That was Jordan's 2-month long slow draft. I still have mine coming a week from Sunday. So yeah. Jordan and I need a strategy session on that pretty soon here.
Yes, I can't wait because that was a really fun month that we were talking about. And all it was a rookie draft. So you can only draft rookies and it's 4 rounds long and it took us 3 weeks, I think, which was fantastic. But yeah, NFL, it's happening.
So what are you guys in? What leagues are you playing in this year? You got like dynasty leagues, guillotine leagues, regular fantasy
and
leagues?
Regular ones.
Okay.
I think
mine's a dynasty.
4.
I only have the one right now. It's a dynasty league. My team's on the rebuild. Sold some assets last year, and I'm trying to not completely tear it all down. Rebuild on the fly. We'll see. I might have traded the first overall pick for Justin Jefferson.
You must be watching some The Quarterback on Netflix, and maybe you think that JJ's got the inside route here on a good season.
I have not watched The Quarterback and your boy Kirky over there yet. Have you seen it?
I'm a believer. No, Jordan?
I haven't watched it either, but I heard Scott Van Pelt talking about it on the radio show on the car ride home, and how one of his favorite parts was seeing Kirk Cousins read the rule book and explain roughing the passer to one of his children. I was like, that sounds as boring as Kirk Cousins.
I heard he was quoting Margaret Thatcher.
He did say, what did he say? If my haters saw me walk on water,
if my critics saw me walk on water, they would say it's because I can't swim.
I love that. I actually didn't know that was Margaret Thatcher, and I just thought it was something that Kirk and his PR team came up with, and were like high-fiving around the table when they were like, "Oh, this will really hit with Kirk's like Christian followers, but also really play to like what's going on in his professional career."
So you watched it?
Is it pretty good? Cool.
I haven't watched it. No.
Oh, you were just.
No one's watched it. No one's watched it.
We just heard it talked about it already.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's check in when you guys got some draft updates that you could actually share with listeners here, because I feel like there's something out there for me as someone who basically hates NFL fantasy football. There's got to be something out there for me how I can participate. Guillotine league, maybe. And then I could just play for 1 week and then be out.
Yeah, you should do a best ball league. So all you do is draft, and then it automatically picks your best players. You don't drop anyone. You do nothing but the draft, and the draft is the best part of fantasy football anyway.
Interesting. Seems like I'd have to know the most about football to do the draft, though. Anyways, we can talk about. I get that. A couple of golf stories from the week that I don't really want to talk about. You guys didn't like my Tiger in the Open Championship take. Apparently, what do we know about Tiger Christensen? Anything?
He's in the Open Championship.
He's in the Open Championship. All right.
He was named after the animal, not the player.
likely. I think he's like 52.
I think
Lydia,
Tiger's actually an acronym for. He has a really long name. It's like Tyler, Ingrid, George, Ryan. You know.
uh, you see these rules infractions that come up. There was like one a few weeks ago where was it somebody in a Corn Ferry event was using a rangefinder and it wasn't allowed and got disqualified. So Lydia Ko in the LPGA event last weekend wrongly implemented preferred lies or lift clean in place for like 4 holes and ended up with a bunch of 2-stroke penalties because she wasn't putting her ball back in the same place that it should have been. And there wasn't any like detail on what exactly she did wrong, but like I don't understand how you can get in these events and like maybe she's putting her ball like a club length to the side after she picks it up and cleans it. But how does like your caddy not know?
I don't. So what was she doing? That doesn't make sense.
Are you familiar with lift clean in place or preferred lies as we call it in the industry? So if it's really muddy out,
Yeah. But they were playing it, so that it wasn't play that around.
it was
or
in
not?
play, and she was picking up and cleaning her ball, and I guess putting it down in a spot that wasn't close enough to the original spot, such that they came back and gave her 3 or 4 2-stroke penalties, 1 per hole.
But like, what's I'm trying to look up the actual
Like
rule,
when I've played
rule.
it's always like in junior tournaments, it was always your ball has to go down within a scorecard of where you picked it up from. Which I don't know if that's the official rule. That was always kind of the local interpretation. But I just don't know. I don't know how like because she could have done it. Like I'm imagining her taking like a club length, like in a scramble, and like getting out from behind a tree, or like going from long rough to short rough or something, or like onto the green, and then nobody's stopping her. I don't know. It had to be so egregious that you could see it and then assess a penalty later.
Yeah, well, and one of the rules is you have to like mark it, so it's not even like she.
Yeah.
Right, it's not like she just picked it up and put it down in the
So
wrong
then they
place.
must have seen like gone back on TV and seen the mark. There was no comments. There wasn't much in their articles I was reading about it. So something maybe we could figure out later. I just thought that was just kind of mind blowing. I want to talk about 2 really big tournaments going on in the state of Minnesota this week and then this weekend. First, I'm going to start with the Minnesota State Amateur. Comes 1 week after the state open, so this is at Minneapolis Golf Club. The kid that won, Jordan, at your club, Caleb Von Aragorn, plays at where do you say plays Valparaiso, I think. He is 16 under through 2 rounds at Minneapolis Golf Club. He has an 8-shot lead.
So he's
shot
playing
62
good golf.
Shot a 62 today.
I mean, he won the state open by what, 6 strokes or
5,
something?
yeah, 5 or 6. Incredible. Yeah. I mean, just like it's interesting to see, and I know we could talk about Scotty Scheffler, and I know he doesn't have the wins, but just like you see these guys get on these heaters, and it's cool to see it even at like the local level. But yeah, this kid, be interested to see what he does tomorrow, but just absolutely torching local amateur and professional golf right now in Minnesota.
Yeah, and how old is he? 18, 19? He's a freshman in college, so
yeah. 62, 10 under today. The other big tournament going on is Jordan's member guest. And Jordan, Kyle, and I want to know how you're feeling. What's the strategy? Do you feel good about your pairings, your flight? Maybe Kyle doesn't want to know. I want to know.
Has your wedges came in?
No, I'll get them. They won't be used in this tournament.
Was it last year that you just showed up with brand new irons in this event?
Not like a week. I played 1 round with them, yes. And then
they were all 2 degrees strong.
And then we won our flight, baby. Which is why Mike got the invite back this year.
Not me. Different
Mike. Different Mike. Out of town Mike. You'll be my emergency if I ever need one. Sorry, Kyle.
I don't know. I have an executive course tea time with the kiddos on it's Sunday. I might be open.
No, I'm feeling good. Golf games, the usual. I had 2 birdies and 9 holes tonight and should have had a 3rd, and then had 2 double bogeys. So like shot at 39, but
Yeah.
that's how you win these things. The birdies, especially for me, I'm the lowest handicap in my flight, and my partner is the highest. So every hole I'm going against someone, almost every hole there will be people with strokes, and my partner will be one of them. So I hope he picks it up.
We're cheering for you. Let us know if we can get some money in on this.
You can come watch. You want to be my caddy? Last year, a guy, another member, put on an official caddy bib and just rode on the back of the cart and drank the entire time.
I like that job.
Yeah, he's unmarried and no children. So
well, yeah, that's kind of the key right there.
yeah, because it's 8 hours of golf on Friday, and so he just hung out and drank for 8 hours, riding around, raked a couple of bunkers. Be pretty fun day.
Well, we wish you luck, Jordan. We hope to get some
Thank you.
updates. I hope you guys do great. Hope you win some money. Before we talk about
jug.
Yeah. Before we talk about big boy golf, Kyle's abstaining tonight from the drinks. But I have Junkyard, Don't Go Jason, Waterfalls.
That was beautiful, Mike. Beautiful.
Thanks for singing
Citra,
that.
Nelson, Sylvan. It's funny. I thought my sister was the only one who sang the song like that, but apparently more people do. So it's all right.
What kind of beer was that? Did you
say? New England, Citra, Nelson, Sylvan.
Nice. I have a local Elm Creek Brewing, Mulligans for golf. I don't know why. Oh, Legalize Mulligans is the official name of it. It was fine. I'll finish the 4-pack, but I don't know if I would buy this particular one. I wouldn't seek it out.
I'm not abstaining by choice. I was in such a hurry to get back for the pod. I didn't have time to make an acquisition of said product. I'm in a hotel room in Texas. So
I thought maybe, Kyle, you were going to ask Jordan if he was going to take a mulligan on his beer purchase.
But actually, I was like, wait, this wasn't THC, was it? Because legalized mulligan. It's just beer.
That would have been Jordan's joke, the timely dad joke.
Yep. Well, let's quickly wrap on the Scottish Open. I don't say I made the mistake, but I did. I played golf early Sunday morning, and I missed the broadcast. I actually was watching the last couple holes on my phone between shots, and I'm curious what you guys think. Is your heart aching for Bobby Mack, or are you happy to see superstardom return to form?
Mike, I'm guessing I'm speaking for both Jordan and I, but you should really give us a rundown of what happened on the back nine. Because I've heard it was really good, but had a wedding, golfing, driving back. Yeah, I didn't see it.
I've seen one shot of this golf tournament, and it was Rory's 2-iron.
Well, it's pretty ridiculous.
I saw it plenty on Monday. I just didn't. Or Thursday. I did not see any Sunday.
So I was checking a few scores. This was the mistake. I was checking a few scores. I saw Bob McIntyre kind of making this charge, and I was shot tracker. I hadn't really turned on the feed yet, and I see him make this birdie on. I see that he makes this birdie on 18, and I had seen previously on Twitter that there had only been 6 birdies on 17 and 18 all day.
Wow.
And so McIntyre birdies 18 to take a 2-shot lead on Rory, who is just finishing up on 16. And so, take a 1-shot lead on Rory, who's just finishing up on 16. And so Rory's got a birdie 17 or 18 in order to force a playoff. And he steps onto the par 3 17th and hits it to about, I think, like 4 feet, something like that. And the hole is maybe playing 190 yards, but it was just like, okay, he's going to do this. But again, like, you don't think he's going to birdie 18 because playing straight into the wind 500 yards. And he hits what Jordan just described as his 2-iron, like straight into the wind. Is a really cool angle, reverse angle from it. he hits it up to about 11 feet and drains the putt. And I was confused when I was watching it because I for some reason I looked at the leaderboard and I thought he was done. So I was like, oh wow, he birdied 17. He's tied. They're gonna go to playoff. And then this just was unfolding, and I don't know. It was probably pretty cool. It would probably be super cool for Rory as like a semi Rory fan, I guess. If it wasn't to break the heart of Bob McIntyre.
Yeah. If it would have
So
been
he
to break
finished
the
birdie
heart
and
of,
made the 11-footer win.
Say it again.
He finished birdie and made the 11-footer to win on 18.
Yeah. Yep.
Impressive. Yeah.
It is impressive. It's just like he is just like, hang on. He's like, hold my beer, like that kind of move. And but again, like we had such a cool moment at the Canadian Open with Nick Taylor, winning his National Open, Wyndham Clark, the American, winning his National Open, John Rahm, the Mexican, winning his National Open. This would have been really cool for Bob McIntyre. And then Rory, steps on his throat.
Not very nice, Rory, but it sounds like it was a great finish. I'm sorry I missed it. Wish I would have seen it more.
Man,
so,
I did
watch that
no
one
reaction
shot on Instagram, and you're good.
No reaction, Kyle, to my callback to the Mexico Open, huh? Yeah, I don't know. It was a cool finish. I think for Bob McIntyre, this will still do a lot for him to get in position for the Ryder Cup. But it seemed like a cool scene, certainly up until that point. On the RTG front, in the Listener League, we had JYATD finishing in first place, followed by Resprout, and then JY Sodi. Kyle, I think you and I finished 4th and 5th.
Damn.
5th and 6th, maybe, something like that. It was pretty close.
I've been on a real dry spell in RTG.
How was your guys' weeks overall? Mine was middling for the Scottish Open, but I had a great week in Kentucky with my one lineup.
Yeah, terrible. I mean, mostly terrible on the DFS front. We had some tough landmines. 5 players in the top part of our model, 25% mention share above missing the cut. Rye, Aberg, Scott, Smalley, Cantlay, who also topped the power index. That doesn't happen very often. This is like a once every 10, 12 weeks for us. And you take a beating when that happens. Fortunately, Jordan, on the Rainmaker side, I pulled a rare Xander and a rare Sungjae this week. So that's that helps even things out a little bit.
Wow, nice work.
Yeah,
I won $5 in Rainmaker's Barbasol.
I did as well.
Me too.
Crappy players playing there. But back to this one, like you guys, Jordan L. Smith coming through. And then the other Jordan misses the cut for me and keeps me out of the money in RTG.
Yep. Jordan Smith. Yeah, let's keep an eye on that name for this week. Do you want to finish things off, Jordan, with the one and done real quick?
Yes. We had 0 Rory McIlroy picks this week, which is a good thing because it wasn't a giant purse. But we had 1 Robert McIntyre, Iowa State Cyclones. For once, the Cyclones finished on top. And then we had a few Fleetwood, Hattons, but they're down at 200,000, so not much, not a big change in the standings this week. We still have Derek Howard and Champles at the top, $125,000 apart.
All right. Well, couple of big purses left. Kyle, I know you're still optimistic. I'm not, but
keep coming here. Just we're running out a little time, but 5 in a row. I think we got 5 left. Perfect.
Make sure you back up those one and done picks, Kyle, with an outright bet just to make sure it's actually worth something.
I might have this week. Sneak peek right there.
All right. Okay, let's talk about the Open Championship being played at Royal Liverpool Hoylake, rural England, UK. This is just barely in. Yeah, I really had to do a little bit of geography here because I wasn't quite sure how rural fit in, but it is part. Looks like it's part of Liverpool. Last year at St. Andrews, Cam Smith wins. I think we all remember that. Quickly left for Liv right after his big win, but we have a different golf course. We haven't been here since 2014. The last time it was here, I think Rory won with Ricky Fowler finishing in second place. And there's been a little bit of work done on the golf course. There's an entirely new hole on the 17th hole. And Kyle, you were texting me earlier this week saying there are some conflicting points of view on what's going to get it done at Royal Liverpool. Can you shed some light on that?
There is. I would say maybe as people start listening to each other a little bit more, there's a little bit of groupthink going on. But for the most part, everyone seems to be in agreement it's going to be a driving test. But what kind of driving test, whether what's more important, accuracy distance, or a combination of ideally, of course, as we would always want, is a little bit of a difference of opinion. I think, so you did see Rory win here in the past. Obviously, he's a great driver of the golf ball, can hit it long and straight when he's on. We'd take that all day, but I think what you can't do here is get wild off the tee. I would, if you haven't looked up, I would look at Rick Rungood's Twitter. He highlighted the third hole, which is a dogleg right, almost even, I don't know if it's like a 60-degree dogleg almost. And they have an internal OB that runs right off the right fairway the whole way. And if you just want to hit it dead straight off the tee, you hit it about 240, and then you're going to have a long way in. Or you can try to cut off more and more of the dogleg and have to drive it over a little wall. And if you miss at all, you are OB. So I think there's going to be a lot of that. There's a lot of OB on the course in general, so you have to avoid doubles overall. It's the UK, so we have pop bunkers where you're going to have to chip out sideways pretty often if you end up in. So at the end of the day, you're going to need to drive the ball well. And I am probably the one thing I am taking out of my player pool is guys that really can get wild off the tee. Greens are pretty flat overall, pretty average in size. And I think it's going to be a pretty good test, especially if the wind gets up a little bit.
So you're all over Bryson this week, like the model. He's really great.
I mean, I always am a huge Bryson fan. I have considered at this point betting Bryson just as a complete fade to my thoughts and opinions, but yeah.
I don't want to get into the pricing quite yet, but that is Bryson is certainly on my list of interesting price points. So we had Rory winning here in 2014. Tiger Woods, not Tiger Christensen, winning here in 2006, which is the famous Tiger only hits one driver in 4 rounds and demolishes the field.
Wow.
My guess is the golf course is going to be set up a little bit differently 17 years later. I'm guessing it's been lengthened, and guys aren't going to, and again, listening to guys like Rick Rungood in terms of like some of the forced carries and where some of the landing areas are, sounds like there's a lot of sort of 300-yard spots that guys got to get to. But just keep in mind that Tiger demolished the field with hitting one driver in 72 holes.
From a conditions perspective, I think it was Michael Kim today tweeted out a photo of Tiger Rory on the same tee box as he is today. And granted, cameras and everything are a little different. But the Tiger year, the course was definitely a lot drier and you had a lot more run out. So you could kind of hit those out there, where it seems to be a lot greener, wetter, softer this year. So not as much roll.
Yep. All right. Well, do you want to do a quick rundown of the model and where it's at? We have most of our expert content is in. A few more we got to finish up tomorrow, but pretty good look at where we're leaning.
Got to appreciate the major week, everyone getting on top of it. We'll highlight the top 5 so far. Scotty Scheffler at 12.5. Yes, you heard that right. 12.5. A little different pricing this week, as Mike highlighted. Getting 50% mention share, real strong on the MPI. So I don't think anyone would tell you Scotty's not a great play. It's just whether you can stomach that price point. Right behind him, we talked about him earlier, Mr. Scotland himself, Bobby Mack, 6,800, 40% on the mention share. And again, on the price point conversation, I think, obviously the open price comes out earlier in the week. If this comes out after the Scottish Open, he's probably 7,800, 7,900. So you're going to get quite the price break there over where he should have been. Tommy Fleetwood next, 9,300, 40% mention share, and our MPI loves him so far, 97 on the mention power index. Brian Harman, 36% mention share, 70. He will cost you $7,300 this week. Right in the middle of the road in MPI, and the last is Rory, 11.9. So a little bit of a $600 price break compared to Scotty, 31% on mention share and 45 on MPI so far.
Jordan, did you know that DraftKings bumped up the pricing this week and then brought the pricing down to $5,500?
I had no idea.
There used to be a lot more of this 6, 7, 8 years ago. This when DraftKings first came out for golf. This was the format. Even lower in the price, you could play $4,500, guys.
What?
There is nobody in the DFS community really seems to be bothered by this, which, okay, I'll take their lead. Like, I think, like, hey, it's interesting. Okay, I kind of have to figure a few different things out. What I'm curious is, first of all, between 5,500 and, because the idea of like, okay, well, you got to pay a little bit more for the studs, but you have a little more, a few more options lower down because the salaries go down a little bit more. But like at $6,500, things fall off really quickly. It's not like suddenly there's a ton of value at 6,200. I mean, you can go down and get Tom Hoagie at 6,400, I guess, but there's not really much down there that I think we're going to be looking at. And so you don't
like $5,600 Matthew Southgate?
I mean, I know that he's an option, probably the best option that we're going to model. But I guess I'm just saying is that
Darren Clark has made 13 straight cuts
on a no-cut Champions Tour.
Good for him. That's consistency.
Anyways,
John Daly is also down there at 5,500.
I see that. The point is, Kyle, I think there's got to be, and I'm not sure where it is in the pricing, but there's got to be a spot where guys are priced reasonably. And either it's kind of it seems like it's probably in the 7Ks where I feel like it evens out, but everybody above 7K feels like they're almost pulled up a little too high. And then somewhere in the 7Ks, guys almost seem like they fall down a little bit. So I'll mention a guy that you talked about, Brian Harman, 7,300. I think that's a great price for Brian Harman this week. Granted, in a course that we think is going to demand length, he doesn't have it. He's been playing great golf, and I would have probably thought I would see him a slightly higher than 7,300. And then you have someone like Bryson DeChambeau at 8,800, which feels he's been in like the mid 7Ks at the majors this year. And all of a sudden, he's pulled up to 8,800. So there's something funky going on in sort of that 8K range where these guys are being pulled up by the Scotty price while others are kind of being suppressed back down to the 7Ks.
Well, I think the other thing you have going on when it comes to pricing is just, the live effect is starting to play out a little bit more. We have 3 price point, or we have 3 instances of a full field like this with some live guys in it. And those that have played well have to be, regardless of their form on live, they have to be pulled up. I mean, Bryson, he's shown well the last 2 times out. So I think that's a big part of it. 20th at the US Open, 4th at PGA Championship. That kind of form, you're probably going to see a guy in the 8s, even though, he was T11 in London. What does that even mean?
Well, where do you start? I don't think I've come to terms with where I want to start my lineups. I have a couple of thoughts, but where are you going to start, Kyle?
The hard thing for me is, as we take in a lot of content, we've talked about this before, and especially in a week like this, people get content out earlier. So started to listen to a lot of pods, had a flight on Monday. So, hey, listen to a lot of pods on that. And the areas I was starting to generate my player pool, surprisingly to me, they don't necessarily align very closely with the model so far. So I really got to see how that plays out over the next 24 hours before I make my final selections. I am intrigued by Brooks. He's at 10-4, so we didn't quite get down to him. He is getting submission share, 22%, but it's not from our high-end contributors at this point in time. Pat Mayo is on him, though. Jeremy Campbell as well. So I am intrigued there. Yeah, just what we've seen from him in majors this year. Obviously second at the Masters, won PGA, 17th at the US Open. I think there's a lot worse places you can go, especially going down to 10-4 to start your builds. You're saving so much over Scotty at $2,100 for example, or $2,100 for example. Bobby Mack, we've talked about this before. Kind of seems like a trap, $6,800, but it's $6,800. Obviously, he's going to get some ownership, but I mean, that's almost a free square, and what it allows you to get up to is a lot more, from a build perspective. It's going to be really hard for me to not go there, especially since he is still getting love from, people in our model that have done pretty well in the year. So his MPI is pretty solid. So I think I'm going to have to do it. What's your guys' thought on Robert McIntyre?
Do you trust?
Feels like a trap.
You trust him 2 in a row? No.
Yeah.
I mean, he got T4 at Maiden Himmerland. Got second last week, granted the Euro event. He has 2 other top 20s in his last 5 Euro events. He did miss a cut in there.
He's on the cusp of a Ryder Cup team. Like he's currently got the last automatic spot, I think. And so if anything, he's motivated to not miss the cut.
In his last 3 Open Championships, granted different courses, T6, T8, and T34.
Yeah. Can you stomach him at 20% ownership? Just play him in the right spot.
$6,800? Yeah.
Yeah.
At GPP, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to go there in a GPP style contest, but from a cash perspective, what he allows you to do outside of him is intriguing me. I mean, he gained strokes in every category last week, so it's not like he just had a pop putting week where he gained like 5 strokes with the putt.
Yeah. Fair. Where do you sit, Kyle, on kind of the 2 studs that we have at the top there, Scotty and Rory? You got a lean on one? Do you just kind of spread them both out? You talked about Brooks.
Yeah, I always lean Scotty, and especially, I mean, it's hard with the price point and kind of what you want to do beyond there. You're going to have to go into the 6s or even the 5s, but he still has a strong MPI for us. It coming in at 63, getting so much mention share, and the chances he kills you are just so low. I don't know. I feel bad not going to Rory more often, but unless he offers a huge ownership break over Scotty, I'm going to go Scotty.
He's a pretty good golfer.
Scotty has not finished outside, so it's T11th of the RBC Heritage. He hasn't finished 5th, worse than 5th since then.
Hasn't finished worse than 15th all year, or worse than 12th all year.
Yeah, and his last he's top 10 his last 5 majors. Yep, he's a machine. You got to figure out. I mean, you can play Scotty in 5 7K plays. So there is, and there's plenty of value in the 7Ks, I think, this week. So it's certainly there to play him. I do wonder if you end up with a lack of differentiation, and that only matters if you're playing big events. If you're playing smaller field stuff, I don't think it really matters. Jordan, who's gonna? What do you got?
I've got the winning lineup. So you ready?
I was just gonna say, what's gonna win your neighborhood league? What's gonna win your RTG league?
I'm getting both of them, McIlroy and Scheffler, in my lineup.
Okay.
Next on the list,
it's very cool,
is Romain Longescu. And haven't been pretty solid. Then we got Thorbjorn Olesen, playing well, making lots of cuts. So we got him. And then I'm going all the way down to Matt Wallace, I'm going real off the sheet here, guys. I don't know if you could
I
tell.
was saying these guys aren't even modeled.
Real off the sheet. But Matt Wallace has made 3 of his last 4 cuts, which is all I'm looking for at $6,000 is a made cut. And then, the last one I have, I'm not sure yet, is Stuart Sink.
I mean, effectively, the lineup is good. Basically, what you're saying is you think Scotty or Rory's going to win. The other guy finishes top 5, and 3 of your other 4 players make the cut. That probably gets it done.
You can get real funky like that. It's funny Jordan went that route because I just wanted to see what Scotty. You want Scotty in a different stud. Going Scotty, Brooks, Koepka, Matthew Southgate, Hendrik Stenson, Jordan's boy Romaine Lettuce, and then you can still you have 8,200 left, and you can still go to Finau.
Yeah. So there's
and leave $200 on the table. Yeah.
And I just dropped Sink and went Ewan Ferguson because I saw him on our board at 6,100. So there's a little bit of model play.
Did you see the bit with Ewan Ferguson, what everyone calls him in Europe?
Do they call him Ewan McGregor?
No, he's they call him, shoot, now I'm forgetting the adjective. They call him like he's a knockoff Ricky Fowler. He's kind of got like a little mullet going on, Puma, sunglasses. They call him a knockoff Ricky Fowler. And he's like, there's worse things to be called.
So back to the lineup build there. I think, and that's the fun thing with what they did with salaries a little bit this week and having some of those, being able to go down to $5,600 in Matthew Southgate. It just opens up different builds. So that's one thing to keep in mind. It might really throw off people's ownership projections. So I would be a little careful, I guess, playing on those plays.
I wonder, Kyle, if there's an opportunity, if you are going to do that, if you're going to go kind of like stud, like Scotty and another 10K player, if you could then load up on a weather draw elsewhere. And I don't know if you have a read yet on the weather, but like that could be a way to do it too. Is like, hey, if I got to go play a bunch of 6K guys, I might as well find the guys that are going to have the wave advantage if we think there is going to be one. And that could be an easy way just to gain a couple of strokes on the field.
Yeah, that's certainly a play, and I will pull up weather here and come back to that here in a bit.
The only other guy that I thought might just maybe intrigue me, sitting near the top of the model, Justin Rose, 8K. So if you do find yourself needing an 8K play, Justin Rose obviously having a pretty good season, terrific around the green play. And I think that could just be something that obviously in a British Open, if the conditions get tough, you're missing greens, you got to have some of that crafty short game work. He could be a guy to go to that's had a lot of confidence around the greens. But Brandon Gadula is on him this week and has been great for us the last several actually. So if I find myself needing 8K plays, I might be looking at Justin Rose. Kyle, do you want to go to tiers?
Yes, sir. I'm glad you brought up Justin Rose because I actually wanted to look at tier 5 this week. So we have Tony Finau's name just throughout, which is crazy. He's down in tier 5. Justin Rose, Tom Kim, Max Homa, Sung Jae, Taylor Gooch. Priced anywhere from 7,800. Taylor Gooch, Max Homa's up to 84. You have a little bit of everything in there. Obviously, if Finau has it up, Tony Finau has it up this year, but a little bit of up and down outside of that. Rose has been playing some great golf. Tom Kim has came on the last couple of weeks. Almost kind of twisted in the wind a little bit. Taylor Gooch has been winning tournaments on live. And we have everything from 5% mention share up to Finau at 28. But the guy I like and really leaning heavily on the MPI is Justin Rose, who Mike just highlighted. It's 54 in the MPI. As you mentioned, Brandon Gadula's on him. Lee Aldrich at Fanshare. And then from a betting standpoint, Andy Lack, part of the Rick Run Good network, also highlighted him as bet this week. So that's who I like in tier 5.
Never forget 57 years ago, him walking up as a 17-year-old at Carnoustie, I think. Finishing top 5. I got like maybe 1 out of 5 facts right there. Well, good. One guy that isn't even in our model at this point, JT. I think he's 8,700 this week. Kyle, you've wanted to be early on JT the last handful of weeks. You gonna wait this one out? You gonna wait till he shows up at the 3M?
I gave that one up. I didn't go there last week when some people tried to get back in. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm out. I just like I said last week, I have not seen enough to. He can be close. I've heard the arguments, on why he's not completely broke and he could be close, but I have other places to spend my money. Mike, do you have any value play of the week? I know normally you like some of your value guys. What do you?
I do. I said I liked Brian Harmon. 7,300. He's riding 3 really strong finishes. Putting well, approach game solid. The question is, do you believe in the length narrative? We know he's a highly accurate driver of the golf ball. It's just whether or not you believe in the length narrative. And if you were to listen to, say, again, Rick Run Good's podcast, he's talking about these kind of 300-yard landing areas. Brian Harmon does not have that in his bag. Maybe go ahead.
I'm glad you went back to that because I don't know if I nearly came full circle with the thought there when I wanted to get out. I think length is important, and I would want length over not having length, but I want accuracy over not being accurate. So I'm not worried about Brian Harmon.
Jordan, thoughts on length being important versus accuracy?
Too many jokes here, but I'm not really a course guy. I let Kyle do that stuff. I go with my gut, like Stuart Sink. I took him out of my lineup, and now he's gonna get a top 10 here. He's an accuracy, not length guy.
You guys,
try to put it out there.
I know we're trying. Kyle, you did ask about value though. The guy that I always go to value for, Len Hochberg writes at the RotoWire, gives his plays in various tiers and always has 4 6K plays. And I swear he'll tweet it out, but he makes about 3 out of 4 6K plays making the cut a week. So this week he's on Thriston Lawrence, Jordan L. Smith, Bobby McIntyre, and Padraig Harrington. And I think Padraig again just showed up at the Scottish Open, played well again. The guy is sort of like a modern day Bernhard Langer, like spends a lot of time on his game, a lot of speed training. He's in fantastic shape. He's obviously proven himself in Open championships in the past. I wouldn't mind playing him at 6,600. I wish he was a little cheaper. But I could see Padraig right now being gutsiest play of the week at a still mention from Len Hochberg. It wouldn't surprise me.
I'm with you there. I mean, granted, it's all over the place from different tours, but he hasn't missed a cut since January at the Dubai Desert Classic. And granted, some champion tours in there, but his PGA events, 60th, 53rd, 10th, 50th, 27th, and the PGA and the US Open were in there in 42nd last week because he fell down the board on Sunday. So I like the call. Mike, you asked about weather. I do have a little weather.
All right, let's hear it.
Looking for it. And granted, changes often up there, but currently on Thursday, it looks pretty steady on the winds all day. So I don't think you're going to see a wave advantage from what we see right now. 10 to 12 to 14 miles per hour, maybe gusting to 16. So not just kind of, steady wind. Friday afternoon, it is currently forecasting the winds really to pick up substantially over the morning. But then Saturday, later in the day, Saturday, not that you can build to impact that, it could get a little funky. Winds 17 to 18 sustained, peaks of 32. So Saturday certainly looks like it's going to be the day that's most interesting as of now.
As you know, with Open championships and all sort of British golf, that stuff can change within the hour. So build those lineups Wednesday night. They lock in, I think, 12:45, something like that, 12:45 Central. build those lineups Wednesday night to the best of your ability, and then let Mother Nature do the rest. Kyle, can you take us home with name game? You locked it in earlier this week, so I'm excited for what you got.
Yeah, so in the UK, we're in Scotland. There's some fun town names. So we're gonna play a little riff off that. So we got 4 teams here of 2, and just like normal from 4 teams perspective. So listen closely, Jordan. I mean,
Is this in the spreadsheet?
no,
Yeah.
just wait. Just listen to the delivery first. It's gonna be better that way.
Oh, okay.
Team 1 is David Lingmerth, hailing from Devonham. He's teamed with Wyndham Clark from Buttswin. Wyndham Clark's from Buttswin. Get it?
Got it.
Buttswin. Yeah. Team 2 would be Chris Kirk. He's from Kirkhouse Green, and he's teamed with Minwoo Lee, who's from Lee Brockenhurst.
These are town names?
Yep. Robbie McIntyre, he hails from Robbie Mill, and he's teamed with Taylor Gooch from Crow's Gooch. Team 4 is Thurston Lawrence. He's from Thurstanton, and naturally he is paired with Tyriel Hatton from Hatton.
Wait, Thurston Lawrence is actually from Thurstaton, or did you?
No.
Or you just? Oh, I thought these were like actually their hometowns. So they'd be pretty sweet.
No, these just.
I'm gonna guess Tyrrell Hatton. His family might come from Hatton.
It might.
It's possible.
I thought that was a good way to put a bow on it.
What is
these teams range from 14-6 up to 15-6. 2 guys. We got last.
Scooch.
Yeah.
Results last week. Kyle won. That's why he was making the game. He'll pick last. The listeners came up in the rear, and then Jordan, you were second to last. So the order will be listeners, Jordan, myself, and then Kyle. Kyle, do you have a read on where you usually have a good read on where you want to put the listeners?
Well, the fun thing is, I feel like we have one person on each team that's getting some steam this week. So we've talked about a lot of people in here. I think the listeners, quite frankly, I think they would like David Lingmers from Devonham.
That's what I was going to say.
And Wyndham Clark from Buttswin.
I don't even want to know how you came up with these towns, but
the person sitting next to me on the airplane yesterday probably had some questions of what I was looking at. But.
All right.
Hey, what math are you doing here to add these things up also? Because it's wrong.
It is wrong.
Oh, I was dragging things around to try to balance it. And
I was
it looks
like,
wait,
the formulas, this group is way more expensive. Error.
All right.
Error.
Listeners, Jordan, you're next.
Oof. I mean, I love a good gooch, but do I go for cuts? Minwoo. Who's this Thurston Lawrence guy? Anyone know anything about him?
Thurston Lawrence, he's won at least 2 events this year on the Euro Tour.
Wow, he's South Africa. Okay, I'm gonna go with this with Thurston Lawrence.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Thurston Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so Pat Mayo likes to talk about him, and he says his name different every time. It kind of throws me off, to be honest.
Nice.
But he won the BMW International.
Wow. So okay. Well, I have a South African moving in with me in a week and a half, so it's fitting here.
Don't need to unpack that. All right. Kyle, my turn next. I really wanted that Thurston Lawrence Tyrrell Hatton team, but I'm gonna have to take Bobby McIntyre and Taylor Gooch. The Crow's Gooch.
All right, I'll take Minwoo Lee and Chris Kirk. I'm good with that. I'm torn on where to go with Minwoo Lee this week, so at least I have him in the name game.
Well, Kyle, that brings us to the betting card. What's the strategy this week? but there's some bombs out there that we're thinking the British Open, or are you just trying to scrape enough together with some shorter plays?
I really wanted to go up board, but it's hard to bite off 650 to plus 650 or 6.5 to 1 Scotty or Rory. Rom, 12, 14 isn't enough. If that climbed up to 16, 18, that might be a little bit more attractive. So far I've fired on Brooks at I'm going a little bit more units there. Got him at 18 to 1. He did open 20 some places. Just the major form. And he's had some good showings in the Open in the past, especially when he has some experience playing over here on the Challenge Tour and the Euro Tour back in the day too. So I'm not scared of him playing on the link style courses. I took Morikawa at 35 to 1 and Siwoo at 110 so far. Those are the 3 plays I have in. I've kind of been swimming around. Hideki opened at 100 to 1. I bet him a lot at lower numbers. I haven't pulled that trigger yet, but I thought about it. Justin Rose, Tom Kim, but I don't know what I'm going to go as my 4th and final play there, but I will tweet it out when I do. Brooks, Morikawa, and Siwoo in.
Kyle, was that earlier this year? Or was that last year? Where we're like, Morikawa can't play in the wind. It's got to be perfect weather for him to
Phoenix.
Do it. And now look at you. Look at you. You're forgetting our own advice.
Yeah. Well, in the winds for Europe, that wind isn't too crazy outside of later in the day Saturday. And the thought process there is softer course. I think you can attack it a little bit more. Can be accurate. I'm going that accuracy off the tee approach a little bit. And heck, the number's 35. It's not like I'm playing them at 22.
Yeah, that's valid.
I wore my UVA hat tonight. I didn't hear a word about Denny McCarthy. Come on.
I tried to tee up for, some sleeper plays for you.
I don't think he's a sleeper play this week. At 7,300, I take Brian Harman over Denny McCarthy. But hey, if he's in the mix, I'll be cheering for him. Anything else, guys? What's your Open Championship strategy? Do you try to catch a little bit before you go to bed on the weekends? Do you get up early and tune in at 5 a.m.? You got kids waking up early. What's the viewing strategy?
I will watch almost none of it because I'll be golfing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday morning. But after golfing 3 straight days, I will also be awake with the children. So.
Good point.
I'll probably take Saturday morning duty in our household, get up, with the littler one and get up a little earlier. But like my tea, coffee, and golf. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be crazy and get up at like 3 a.m. No.
Fair enough. I just booked 9 holes on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. To bring the kids out, so I might be missing. Hopefully Sunday goes a little bit later, but I might be missing some of it. We'll see. I always prioritize getting out on the course though. So if I got to be looking at my phone, that's all right.
Much more important.
All right. Final thoughts, Kyle. You got one more bit?
I don't. Let's win some money this week. I think we're ready for a good one.
Yeah, all right. Let's do it.
Well, that's it. You can find our content, new pods, Wednesday mornings on our YouTube channel, Reading the Green, any major podcast platform. Follow us on Twitter all week. We'll be back to cover the results of the Open Championship and preview the Hometown Open. See ya.